Howdy guys. Just got back off from work. Figured I'll stop by the cemetery I found a while back. Up here on the, sorry I suddenly ran through the hills up there. Up here at the Booker Wright Cemetery. I remember I did a video showing some of the old graves up here that was in pretty bad shape. I just want to say a big thank you to the community. I was selling firewood to help buy replacement headstones. And I just want to thank everybody that made this possible. I'd like to thank Hall's Monuments for giving the big discount on this. It really made a big difference. So I'm going to turn the camera around here, show y'all what I managed to come up with. And I just want to say thanks once again to everybody. Well, folks, there they are. Kenneth, Bobby Lou, Arthur, and Curtis. I mean, this really means so much to me that we can make this happen. Hopefully we can fix some of these other ones that's up here. As far as that cross up, as long as it is, as long as it has a name. Me and my buddy Tim Gerhardt worked on that. I milled the wood on my sawmill, and he did the carving and paint part. And I scorched that bottom so it keeps it from rotting as bad. But I thought I'd give a little bit of a story behind some of these people, so they ain't just names on a rock. Curtis here was actually the brother to my great grandfather. I'm not on the graves, I'm in between them. Earl and Tackett, over there's their mother. But what happened with Curtis is actually a very, very sad story. I don't know what age, I'm assuming somewhere between the age of 5 and 8, he caught what was known as a bloody flux, which was a form of dysentery. Well, they managed to cure that, but the poor boy couldn't get his appetite back, and he starved to death. Well, several years later, when Grandpa died, he wanted to be put next to his mother, who had to be next to his brothers up here. And the way I figured out who was buried where was where Papa Orland is at right now was originally reserved for his daddy, but he remarried. He's buried in a separate part of the cemetery, so I kind of just took the order they died and worked my way over. That's how I figured it out. But I talked to my uncle. He said Papa would talk about his brother and start tearing up, because it was just tell you, Papa was a good man. He lived a hard life. He was a real family man. It was I tell you, he really loved his mommy. Now, the backstory on her, she was actually a midwife around delivering babies, which is ironic that she died giving birth to Arthur, which I believe I'd cover this in a separate video. But I thought I'd give a little more content for y'all. Then I believe I mentioned in the previous video as well that my grandma, Maggie Tackett over here, her great grandma, her grave is actually located about 3 feet below the stone, because they had to go down lower because of Uncle Kurt's grave. Which, now I think about it, I don't know if it's a little bit sinking or if that's just the way I'm looking at it, that would make sense. But if anybody can figure out what year Curtis here died, I'd greatly appreciate it. Check census records, and I think he died in between the census records. But while I'm up here, I figured I'd go on and show you all, if my family's watching this, show y'all the family tree a little bit. From Papa Tackett to his daddy William, eventually to the old grandpa. So to get to William Tackett's grave, which everybody knows him as Squire Jack. If you called him asked about William, most people probably wouldn't know who he's talking about. He's buried over here with the second wife, we call Granny Sue's. Got a lot of respect for her. She didn't differentiate between the ones that's hers biologically and the stepchildren, grandchildren. I guess some cases great grandchildren. There's Aunt Goldie. She's the now story about her. She was actually the one planting the big tree back there when Granny Lydia died. Here's Granddad, William Jackson Tackett, and his second wife Sue, and her brother Jay. We always called him Uncle Jay. Well, I never met him, but that's what everybody called him. But Grandpa, Granddad, I mean, he was I think back then they called us, I think back then the masters were called a squire. At least that's what we always call them. Somebody else told me it's pronounced E-squire or something like that, but everybody just call him a squire like the shape. But his daddy, the Civil War veteran, is buried right down. You zoom in on it. Right over there, right over yonder. So by the way, right here is William's brother, Harvey Tackett, also Civil War veteran, fought for the Union Army. I was told he also fought for the South for 1 year before enlisting with the Union. Do not know, I haven't seen the paperwork, but it would make sense because William here was a deserter. I mean, if I'm going to tell the history, you got to tell the good, the bad, and the ugly. He did desert several times during service with the Union. But I was also told that he served 1 year honorably with the Confederacy. And with him naming his son Jackson, because you ain't familiar with the Civil War, there's a famous general named Stonewall Jackson. So, maybe a coincidence, may not, I don't know. Unfortunately, I never be able to ask him, but still fun to think about. And over here, his wife and my great-grandmother, Nancy Tackett. Most of her writings deteriorated off the stone. But I really don't know much about William here, except for he was the son of George Washington Tackett, who was the son of Preacher Billy. As far as the details about his life, I really don't know much. I do know he did remarry. I cannot remember where his second wife is buried at or what her name was. But anyway, just thought I should give you an update with that. A little bit of bonus footage, and I tell you, that big cedar tree is absolutely huge. You know, 1914 is a long time ago. It's had a long time to grow. But hopefully I'll be able to continue to sell firewood next year. And may I be able to help some of these other folks out here as well. There's several of them I'd love to be able to help. And oh, by the way, another side note, these rocks here are not the original stones. I'll make that very clear. These are just little things that I put up to show that somebody was here. That's the nearest Bobby. You know, I just punched that out in the rock. Just a little temporary deal. Arthur's is ain't colored in. I actually didn't have a screwdriver available. I didn't have a chisel, used a screwdriver for it. The closest thing the first thing they marked them with was a solid block, as you see here. I actually could not find Kenneth's grave at first. The way I located it was I found these two. So I come back up with a shovel. I just picked around till I heard it ping. I believe the block, yep, this rock here is on top of the old block, I'm pretty sure. But regardless, that's how I managed to locate his, because it was completely covered over with this moss. But Merry Christmas, and may God bless you, and I hope you have a good New Year. I thank you for watching this, and thank everybody for making this possible.